What's going on, DJ Nation? It's your boy, not Kenny Kim, here for another episode of Fantasy Golf Degenerates. Kenny is doing whatever he's doing on the couch. We pinch hitting for him today. We got a great guest in the G spot there for Geoff Feinberg. What's going on, brother?
What is going on? Pinch hitting for Kenny. Those are some big shoes to fill. I know he's been, working out more and eating better, but a coagulating McChicken that he probably found in the couch cushion might have put him down. I'll do my best to fill in, including the fact I bet a South Korean at the top of the board, so that's the best way I could pay homage to Kenny, but always big shoes to fill. Happy to be here.
Yeah, you're in my shoes, I'm in Kenny's. We're all wearing each other's shoes. It's like a Dutch Rider party over here, but it's all good. As always, this show is brought to you by Underdog. Use code Mayo for up to $250 deposit bonus there for yourselves when signing up. Be sure to use code Mayo for that. And then we'll dive right into a little bit of a chat about the recap of the Olympics. I have some takes. Geoff, I know you and Pat had a fun time on the show this morning, kind of going through all of that. And I just wanted to mention, this was Tommy Fleetwood's major, man. This was the major he won. There's four years in between every one of these things, and he could celebrate finishing second. This was his thing. This was the week where that was fine. I don't know if he's ever going to do it ever again, win a major or not, but I'm just curious as what your thoughts on the second place there by your boy.
I mean, it's so symbolic of his entire career. For him to hang a silver medal just really does feel right, in as much as it hurts. I appreciate you saying that, and he probably won't be there again, right? Especially if it's just two spots a team, how finicky golf is. There's no guarantees any of them will be back, and we've seen lots of guys, Brian, already, if regret maybe having not gone in previous opportunities when they could have gone. My takeaway is that I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of people want to throw stones, but Tommy was fine yesterday. There are other people you can throw stones at for yesterday. Tommy isn't one of them. So thank you for that. That if that is what it is, if that's his moment, then that's what it is, and we'll accept it.
Yeah, there's not often the second place can be celebrated as monumentally as it was this week. And who wasn't celebrating a second place, was actually celebrating a 4th out of 4 on his team, was Colin Morikawa. Wyndham Clark beat Colin Morikawa this week. After how Wyndham started and how good Colin's been playing, bit of a clunker from Morikawa this week, which was something that I definitely noticed. And old Clark, him, Pat, Victor Perez, and Scotty Scheffler, all for the final 3 rounds, shot minus 15. No one shot better than minus 15 for the final 3. And Clark was on fuego, just at plus 4. Pretty much the first 4 holes kind of derailed his chances. So it was good to see him fight back at least. He was out there. I saw him, dabbing up Scotty as he was walking off. Meanwhile, while Xander's busy ejecting out of the stratosphere there behind him. So it was good to see that. I think Team America obviously always, back-to-back golds now. That's great too. And then some of the ejections, Geoff, they were just... This is one of the craziest. Scotty was soaring up the leaderboard. There was no denying he went and got it. But man, Tom Kim, Ludwig Oberg, your other boy, let's go a bit salt and pepper here, because he was right in the position to kind of pounce up the leaderboard too. You think he was in the same kind of score as Scotty going into Sunday, and yet another dud from him on a Sunday, which is becoming a bit of a normality now.
Yeah. He was at 9 under, so he wasn't I think Scotty was at 10, but sure. I mean, it showed that you could get it up there. You could call me an apologist. I don't know. It'd sort of be like taking a rookie quarterback and seeing all the signs of this guy is going to be top 3 in the world for a long time. So we'll find our flaws while we can. Scotty Scheffler used to not be a Sunday player. As for Ludwig in specific, as an apologist, yeah, I mean, if the tank's running out of gas here in August, when you consider how much golf he played, Brian, from to make that Ryder Cup team, to then playing it, to then even playing a bit in the swing season because he's happy to be here. Like, he's played a lot of golf. And we use it as not as an excuse, but if you're a fan of football or baseball or basketball, like any sport, hockey, you acknowledge like, oh, and the guys in the pros, like, oh shit, the college season would have been over like X amount of rounds ago. He's still going. Like it's a new normal for him. And if he's running out of gas, like I can't defend running out of gas. The 4th round thing, I'll say like throw your stones while you can. But I do not think like in 2025, you are going to make a profitable living like picking on him in any specific round.
Okay. I like it. You thinking he's coming back recharged, ready to rock and roll, and kind of ascend. I think he's world number 4 right now. So,
and like from an outright betting perspective, he might have like bitten the shark. Like it's hard. He's going to have to win his first major under 20-1. That's not going to be an attractive like buy-in. In the same way, it wasn't, and he'll come close a lot. And when you do make the jump to do it, you're going to be expecting that he's right in it for you Sunday. But yeah, like it's a big ask. Like he's going to have to win that first major at the same price like Xander, Rahm, Dustin, like a lot of guys in this podcast era kind of had. Jason Day, like he's going to have to win his first major at that price. Right? So is he overvalued a bit from betting and winning? Sure. Like, but in terms of picking on him, like, yeah, get it while you can, I guess.
Yeah. No, he's young. And a lot of these things he's doing for the first time, which is kind of fun. And then one other guy I did want to mention, congrats to Joaquin Niemann. First top 10 in pretty much Geoff, how close to a major would you suggest this week was? Because this was his first big top 10 in majors and Olympics-ish. I know there's only 60 guys, but he finally popped inside the top 10. Was it one shot away from being a T14? Yes, but he did it. Like he's showing what he has on Live, which I think I've been dinging him for, and I think he deserves his credit there. So I figured I'd just kind of shout out some random guys before we get into the Wyndham.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like a lot of like a 9th place result on Live at times. I don't know what it means. Not like I think this was better than a Live field significantly, but in terms of quantifying how many guys were actually in play, it's nice. I don't know that we can call the 9th place like, no, is the Olympics a major? No, I don't think we're at that point. But if you've been watching my content in the last week, you know that I truly believe there are some significant implications that are coming along with it. And through Riviera and Australia will certainly be there. Pat Mayo, we're on the Mayo network, so I'm happy I'm going to like do this here. I don't think he'll mind too much. I'll plug a show. We've recently recorded a show on ranking the top 30 players, in our opinion, in the world. We're going to drop that, I believe, Monday of next week. I won't do it with anyone else, but I ranked Niemann 12th, and that was probably higher than anyone else who he had on it. So I am a bit of a believer in Joaquin Niemann. I think his game plays on all different courses, even the courses that we'll see PGA Championships, US Opens, and Open Championships at. So I'm not really worried about the major bugaboo.
Yeah, to me, it's been a big issue, but it was good to see him kind of show some form here too.
Yeah. It's fair.
Yeah.
Like it's especially with like in terms of like you do like betting, you're doing like content like DFS. There, you have to find reasons to not bet a guy. So if he's consistently not performed in a specific situation, like I can see why he might not be popular in certain things, but he's another guy. I think just the arrow keeps going up, and we met him so young. He's still a baby. Like he didn't even go to U.S. school, right? So like we met him so young, expectations high. Like I there's still so much time there. I think he'll meet them.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. I personally like the pick'em games. Pick whether your favorite players will have a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for a chance to win big. Can win up to 100 times your money in a single night. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build a pick'em entry. Can also make rivals picks, which pits 2 players against each other. Now, the reason I like the pick'em games is because of these things called scorchers. There's these little chili peppers next to the golfers' names, and if you click on that, it adds to your multiplier. so you can win even more money. Sign up today with promo code Mayo and get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pick'em special. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Yeah, he's super young, and I think that's a perfect transition into the top of the board for the Wyndham, because we got Sungjae Im at the top there. And I know you were mentioning early in the show that you are on a Korean at the top of the board, and Sungjae and Joaquim, I feel like, are in very similar boats, because they are both have been around for so long, yet they're both still so young and so ultra talented, and really haven't quite reached the peak of what their potential is. So I think, is this the week for Sungjae to finally break through? Or I guess you would agree, but what's your take on Sungjae this week?
Yeah, so I'm in. That's a bet that I made. I'm betting the Korean. That's the favorite on the show. In the spirit of Kenny Kim being not here, I'll acknowledge I had one of the great joys in like golf betting meetup, in the sense that I was with Kenny Kim watching Sungjae Im win the Honda Classic. So being like with Kenny while he's watching a South Korean crush it, like actually win, I believe that was his first PGA Tour event. A bunch of us had bet him, so that was a lot of fun. And it'll be in Montreal this fall, so they'll see that. You might, like, if you look, I'm sure the cameras will find Kenny in his Korean garb walking around, but you'll just see like a guy in his normal shirt, short, and like Charger hat beside him. Maybe it'll be me rooting along with the South Koreans. But yeah, a lot of words to be like, yeah, I really like Sungjae Im. He's hitting the ball absolutely beautifully. I have no, in terms of like underachieving at this point, it's had a bit of a weird year, but he's hot. He's hot as hell right now, and he's going to a comfort course. So I like it. I was willing to make that bet. And just on that note of guys that we met young that like took a while to really show what they had, like I would argue like Hideki would be the face of that. Like we met him as a baby, and then his expectations were so high. That's still so young. Like he's still so young in some respects relative to like how long we've known Hideki Matsuyama, the pro golfer. So some of these guys who didn't go to school and we met as babies, like they're still like there's still so much. There's still so much there. So I don't rush to judge anyone's underachievements yet.
Yeah, it is really weird to kind of see how guys go through the ebbs and flows of their career. You never know what they're kind of dealing with. I think Tom Kim currently dealing with a lot of off-the-course stuff too. I think mentally, he played with Scotty, and Scotty mentioned some stuff to him as he's walking off here. And it was very interesting to see him kind of have that kind of emotional setback there in the scoring room there. But I'm going with the next guy, Billy Horschel, 25. Let's go. I think also after the Open Championship, bit of a letdown the following week. I'm not shocked at that at all. Kind of big week prior, didn't quite have his A game. Don't think he was anywhere mentally ready for, I think, the 3M. This week, I think he's recharged. I think he's ready. He's playing some good golf. That form from the Open, definitely in the mix there for sure. I think he's an option for me for sure. I'm on him, 25. Let's go. He's played well in the past. So I think this is like the second or third time I've ever bet Billy Horschel south of like 30. Usually I'm betting him like in the hundreds. So this is a kind of a weird situation, but he's playing some good golf too.
He's playing some great golf. And like good, honestly, him winning Corrales this year doesn't allow me to use the argument that this tournament might just be below Billy Horschel. Like you consider what he's won, what he's even played well in, from like his 8th at the PGA, his top 15 at Memorial, which I think was probably the hardest regular event that we saw this year, to his Open this year. He's playing well. I wouldn't have the guts to bet him to win the golf tournament, but I'd trust him against any of these guys.
Yeah, it was a nice number. I feel like anything south of that, it would be a tough get, but I've got a bunch of other random strays that we'll kind of get to as we go along here. But do you have any other big names? I know you were trying to bet some pensioner that's walking around with a Zimmer frame every now and then and things like that. But Is Matt Kuchar on your card yet?
Yeah. So I did bet Matt Kuchar. And I bet Aaron Rai. I got Aaron Rai at 50. I went back in at 40, and I got Kuchar at 100. So those,
Okay.
and I'll acknowledge, like, I guess when you do it, you know it's probably going to happen that way. But recorded super early with Pat this morning, and when I'm making those bets, like, I like them for the same reason other people like them. But you come up for air like after lunch, not saying I'm recording for 4 hours, but pay attention to what the rest of the world is. And it's not the greatest feeling to see that, like, like these two are going to be like very, very popular. But hey, what can you do? My corpse is being dragged to the finish line here, Brian.
Yeah,
it's like outright betting. We've taken a lot of body blows. I'm not the only one. And that'd be like telling you a bad beat poker story to ream off, like, the tough second places. We all got them. There's no point in regurgitating them, but some ways, like, I could see like the football light to take that. They'll take more of my money, but at the moment it's like the light of football right now with the tunnel. But I love the Wyndham. I'm not throwing any shade, and I think it's a great field. So it should end up being a fun event. It's a shot maker's golf course.
Absolutely. And it's that like Cinderella story for a lot of guys, that the winner of this week's likely going to cement his next 2 years on tour. All these guys are really grinding out. One other name I want to shout out before getting to the rest of my outrights real quick. Ricky Fowler. What on earth, bro? You're 104th in the FedEx Cup. You won the Rocket Mortgage. You've done diddly shit since. I don't think he's had a top 20 in a non-signature event this year. And we're just skipping your golden ticket. Imagine he wins this week and then he's golden again. But nope, Ricky's taking a chill pill. He's on vacation. He's going to be playing full golf, maybe. I don't know. Maybe he's just done because it doesn't ever seem like he's going to make it back on the PGA Tour again, Geoff.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. And last time Ricky was in that dip, even right before he made that charge, there were like live rumors. I haven't heard anything, but maybe he's just destined to do that eventually. Maybe he's hurt. Like, I don't know, but if he's hurt, I don't know why that would have to be a secret. It is confusing. I don't have an excuse. Unlike the other side of it is you see a guy like Jordan Spieth, who's clearly playing through an injury, and in some respects, we'd all be like, Jordan, like, all that should matter for you is being ready to win majors next year. Like, if you got an injury, like, just get it fixed. But no, he feels a commitment to the tour and its sponsors, and he's going to grind these starts out. So I don't know. I don't have anything for Ricky Fowler. This is a guy, Brian, who when he was in his lows, he would be at qualifying, for majors that he was missing, and he'd be signing every autograph until dark. Like, he loves it. He wants it. There could be more here. I'd hope there's more here because it is confusing.
It is. And I don't think it's injury related. I think it's mental because if you take a look at since he won the Rocket, it's just been from that moment on, it wasn't good ever. So who the heck knows? But some other guys that I'll be jumping on for the outright train here, Akshay, I jumped on a 45 earlier this morning. Man, I know he's never played well here before, but he is a different golfer this year around. I mean, he was driving the ball better than Scotty Scheffler for a while earlier this year. And I think that's essential around here. He can go low. Cameron Davis, very popular option, in this market. I think he's a guy that you're going to be seeing a lot on people's cards, especially at the Wyndham. He plays well at these positional places. Taylor Moore at 90, he's a super long shot. I think he's going to be, just on the card there for his upside. I don't expect him to play well, but 90-1 is a big number for a guy that's won on tour before. And then I'm going to take Victor Perez. We could experience some Billy Horschel type effect here because, coming right from France to wherever they're playing where's Sedgefield? This is on the East Coast. So, not the longest
North Carolina.
Yeah. So, maybe the juice wears off a little bit, but man, Victor Perez, man, I had him for a top 3 and he missed it by one spot last week. So I thought one of the Frenchies would do well. He did. And the other finished DFL. Like Mathieu Pavon finishing dead last in his home Olympics was kind of weird for him, like considering he showed up in the big events. So any guys there you want to touch on before we get out of the outright situation?
So two of them, in the sense that I totally back the Boccia play. I think if I didn't have the in bet, I would include him, and my case would just be like, I'm just betting on the ceiling. Like, we're asking about winning golf tournaments. As for the not playing well here this year, in the past, I'm sure if you look at his results this year to his past, he's played different at he's played well at a lot of golf courses he didn't previously play well at. Because he just seems like a different cat right now. And I've been so impressed by the, from, I don't want to say front page of leaderboards, but from Pinehurst to some other places this year. He just played well. Obviously different, but all sorts of different tracks. The guy just played well. His game travels. You're betting it at 40, 45 to 1 against this field. You're just betting on the ceiling. And guys, that's what it takes to win golf tournaments. I love this bet. I'm not saying I couldn't still make it, but I love it. And guys that I am considering, because I mentioned that I bet Rai and Kuchar, I'd like to make another outright in that 50 to 100 range. And Taylor Moore's on a short list. I like that. I like that look.
Yep, and he's definitely at the top of, that 100 to 1 range almost. There's 90s out there as well. So I'm a big fan of that. I do have some Babalas bets as well, because what we do on this show is we do a little 4-leg parlay of top 40 finishes. I just take my model, kind of just filter by the most popular top 40 finishes here. And Aaron Rai, Siwoo Kim, Kurt Kitayama, and Brian Harman, all four of them together, will get you about an 8.5 to 1 ticket there for a top 40 parlay. All four of those guys. So Aaron Rai, Siwoo Kim, Kurt Kitayama, and Brian Harman over at Bet365. About 8.5 to 1 there for those four chaps to finish inside the top 40, because they're all these super consistent options. I think inside the top 40, about 65% or more for all four of them. So I like our chances there. Especially Kurt Kitayama. He's plus 100. He's a sneaky little,
He's right on. Isn't he the bubble boy? The ultimate bubble boy this week? What?
I don't know. I think we should have also pulled up the list here, but I know you mentioned that earlier.
Do you care about that? There are two questions, because you mentioned Perez. That was the question I wanted to ask you. Because we'd come out of majors and sometimes be like, I want to fade this guy. What were our thoughts? Perez, Højgaard, Detry, a lot of cheeky Europeans that I'd love. Normally, my card would just be filled with them. I don't know. I don't really seem to have landed on any of them this week.
Well, the two of them that you mentioned, especially Detry, I don't think he's ever going to win. When he does, he does. I'm not going to feel sad about it that week. I've just made I'm just never going to bet him.
I make my joke with Detry that you could day trade him like a stock, because you bet him pre-tournament, and at some point in every tournament, no matter how good or bad the field is, he's 12 to 1 or something live.
Yeah.
I mean, I swear, I know I'm over exaggerating, but as someone that bets him a lot, I see it all the time. And now it's of the joke, I should just cash out every time. But at this point, I can't. I'm too far in it. And as for the other question, what did I ask you? The FedEx Cup, you guys wanted to try. If they had a button to push that could turn it on, they'd have turned it on a month ago. So I'm not glad-handing anyone on a bubble. Obviously, there are situations of guys have had less starts, or, maybe they're Europeans and they've only played really limited starts on the PGA Tour. But I'm not just investing in a guy because of his FedEx Cup points at all. And Wyndham is a course we know so well that my confidence in the player profile that wins in Wyndham will exponentially overshadow anything FedEx Cup points related.
Exactly. And it's I get there are procrastinators when it comes to this stuff, myself included. I'll always last minute kind of get it done. Sometimes you just never quite get there when you need to. But this is the week. If there ever was one, this is it. Victor Perez is your official bubble boy, sitting at 71st. I think top 70 make it to the FedEx St. Jude. So he's right there. I don't see
74.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So we've got some guys.
73, a guy who I see people betting, and I could totally see why. He checks a lot of the player profile, why a guy would work here.
Yep. Glover, 76. There's some guys that are really begging to get themselves into this week, and I think it's kind of funny. Keith Mitchell's also really interesting to see him down there. considering how consistent he's been, but consistently capped, he just doesn't ever get higher enough on the leaderboard to get enough points. Top 20s aren't going to get you there, bud. You got to get inside the top 5. So we will see what goes on there. Let's dive into some tiers here before we get out of our episode that we're doing together for the first time. And we thoughts and prayers to Kenny once more as we're sitting here today. Hope whatever actions he took over the weekend are really, really coming to make him feel like a good human on this fine Monday evening. All right, so $10,000, $10,300, $10,200, and $10,000 are Siwoo Kim, Billy Horschel, Shane Lowry, and Sung J.M. Geoff, who's your favorite option in the 10K range?
For me, it's Sung J.M. I'd be willing to pay it. I've bet him to win the tournament. That is where my lean would be. Every time, I'm always a sucker for more balanced builds, but I think the gap between him and the second best player in the field is in my opinion bigger.
Yeah, you could make an argument that Sung Jae should be in the 11K range. You know, he's getting the second most strokes in the field, all that jazz. Like you mentioned, tons of good course history. Yeah, whether or not he gets it done, you know, we'll see. But I think my option will be Billy. I think in this spot, yeah, I think, you know, he's going to be the less owned option. And again, we got these guys at 10-7 and 10-2. It's not like we're paying 12.5K for Scotty Scheffler with a 6K range only. So you can still get kind of balanced, I think, in the bottom here, even starting with Sung Jae. So I think it's going to be quite an easy week to put your guys in where you want and going with that. So of the 4 in the top here, Geoff, who would you say is your least favorite option? I'd probably think between Siwoo and Shane Lowry.
Probably Shane Lowry. Just, I don't know. I'm not like counting out anyone who played in Paris last week, but it was a very different week than like, if you want to say it had like major pressure in some ways, it was also probably a very exhausting, it's just a very different week. Like it just popped out of nowhere from like going to other Olympic things, the opening ceremonies. It was a lot. So I'm not betting like the Detries and the Højgaards, and I might regret it, and I might regret fading Shane Lowry. So, but that's my pick here to fade.
I do think if you fade in general, the majority of the guys making their return from Paris, you probably will be better off. You know, I think there will be a few that pop up, but I would probably put a blanket statement over that too and agree with you. I would probably also say Siwoo Kim is my option that I won't be playing in the 10K range. Just doesn't give you enough upside. I mean, the guy's finished inside the top 10 once, hasn't got a top 5 finish this year, but boy, oh boy, does he finish inside the top 20 at a top 40 at a 72% clip, does Siwoo Kim without a top 5. So if you're looking for a cash game, maybe Siwoo Kim's your guy. I don't know. In the 9s, Geoff, we got Akshay, we got Brian Harman, we got Scam Young, Spietho, and Davis Thompson. Some interesting names over here. I'm a big fan of Brian Harman. I think he typically gets a little disrespected in the DFS streets, you know. Odds come in a little shorter than or longer than we expect most of the time on the champion golfer of the year from a year ago. I like him, especially at a venue like this.
So I didn't really have any options here. So I think it's Harman for me by default. This disrespect you speak of, I feel like I'm guilty of it. I can own that. I do everything I can to like not give him credit he deserves. But he is, in my opinion, like the high-end golfer of the skill set that I love to pepper here. Like the player profile that wins here, that dominates here in some respects. He's playing fine and he could pop. So him and his like kitchen table sized putter, he'd be my pick.
Yeah, that's got one of those UFO backup beepers on it, you know, like he just mutes it when he's practicing because it would, you know, wreak havoc across the world. But I'll be playing Akshay in this range as well. $9,100, got nothing to do with Jordan Spieth at 95. He's going to have to show me what he's up to. I think the name value alone's keeping him in there. Cameron Young is always an interesting option too. He was kind of one of the options I wanted to put in that top 40 parlay because, man, he also just peppers that top 40 range at a 65% clip as well. Whether or not he'll win a golf tournament ever, that is also yet to be decided. So I'm a big fan of Akshay. I'll be playing Brian Harman and Davis Thompson pretty much the bottom of that range in the 9s. In the 9s, Geoff, who's your least favorite option? Who are you not going to be playing? Or would you suggest not to play?
Jordan Spieth.
Okay. He's just not got it
Hurt.
right now. He's hurt.
He's hurt. Obviously not hurt enough to like call it quits, but it's weird because if he is hurt, which we all believe he is, everyone around him believes he is. People who are like way more inside golf than me, I'll tell me like, oh, they've heard from someone that he is. He's going to play back-to-back weeks. Like, it's just like, isn't he? He's pretty locked into the FedEx Cup. So I don't know whether like he's pretty loyal to the tour. If he's grinding it out, I said
63rd in FedEx Cup.
Okay, so maybe he does feel like he needs he can't just go home. I'm almost certain. I know people will say he doesn't deserve it and he wouldn't be picked anyway. I believe he's going to let like the President's Cup know, like, I just don't even consider me. Like I gotta have something fixed in my wrist.
And I mean,
and whether that's to like save face because he might not even make the team. I'm one of these people that just believe he's dealing with something. And I'm not betting him to win golf tournaments or trusting him. The floor is low at the moment. In my
floor is very low, and the ceiling isn't high at all either for him. You know, he's been hurting himself there too. And a thing like this, it's not like one of these weeks where you can miss the fairway and have like a different fairway to hit from. You're going to be hitting out of like some thick, not thick, but spongy rough that can really jar that wrist for you there, and kind of, I don't see him enjoying this week at all. Who I do see him being in the fairway a lot more than the majority of the people, going to be Aaron Rai. He's been showing some love in this department quite nicely lately. $8,800, he'll be one of my go-to options. And then I think I'm going to be playing Maverick McNeely at $8,100. I don't want him for an outright, but I'll play him at $8,100 in DFS. He'll be flirting around there too at his first top 5, I think, of the year at the 3M. So he's finding his groove. He can go low. He can make putts, but he sure as shit isn't going to win a tournament because he just doesn't seem to enjoy that moment, But maybe last week was a little bit of a step in the right direction. He finally showed some character and backbone at the 3M. Sorry, not last week, 2 weeks ago. So in the H, Geoff, where are we going? I know your boy Dietrich is in the middle of the pack there at $8,400.
Yeah, so I do. I mean, obviously, Rye's the obvious one. We can pass him. I love everything you just said about Mav. I think he's kind of being forgotten in a way or disrespected, but it feels like an ideal course fit. And the one I will shout is, Mayo really almost talked me into it, but it was easy to see once was pointed in the direction of Bobby Mack. And just I'll continue with like where Mav gains off the tee or doesn't really hurt himself. I feel like would be places like this. He finished 7th in Canada where Bobby Mack won, but like a classical, quirky golf course just seems to be the sweet jam for Bobby. I mean, obviously winning in Scotland, but on this side of the pond, and he's playing well. He's playing well. So that would be one at 8,300. I feel like kind of just out of sight, out of mind, despite doing so well. We've had so much preeminent golf with the Open and the Olympics that even winning 3 weeks ago, or what Bobby did almost a month ago, just kind of feels like, I don't know, not getting the credibility. I think that's more than fair, 8,300 for Bobby right now.
Yeah, I don't see him like maybe, Jesus, is he the guy that wins 3 tournaments this year? I mean, that would be incredible. Yeah. I doubt it, but at 83, it's also fair. You can just take his consistency quite nicely there in that department. And then Luke Clanton, depending on his ownership, $8,600 is always a good option in this. Dude, he's going to be good. He's going to be really, really good. He might. Who Geoff of the amateurs is your top dog right now? Michael Thorbjornsen. Let's just pretend like they haven't got their pro status, like Neil Shipley, Thorbjornsen, Clanton, all those guys. Who's your new baby?
I'll say it's Thorbjornsen. I'm curious on the Clanton ownership after the last tournament. I'm curious where people go back with the driver kind of out of the bag. This will be one to check, but he struggles around the green, and that's not really going to be a thing here. If you got a chip, you've already lost. I feel like this week, right?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that's his biggest deficiency, and it's going to be glaring this week. We'll see if he can kind of avoid, a bad matchup, so to speak, for himself. Yeah, this week. Nikolai Højgaard's also so interesting. He plays the best golf at either courses he doesn't show up to until only playing 9 holes at a golf course that requires 36 holes worth of prep, aka the Farmers Insurance, finishing second, or a major, or something across the pond. I wonder if he'll continue his form over here, but I don't trust him. Kurt Kitayama, I would imagine, would be a cash game cornerstone for Kenny if I were to put one in there for him at $7,900. As I mentioned, he's finishing inside the top 40 71% of the time. So it's a nice advancement rate there for Kurt on to the weekends, but he doesn't really do much with it. They're only finishing 19% inside the top 20. So tough stuff there, but an option that might also kind of roll through. $7,800 EVR. He's my guy. I popped him on Sunday for the lowest round of the day. Obviously, that wasn't even close, but he typically has these bookmarks, round 1, round 4, where he kind of goes nuts. So I'll be having him in my lineups too. Ben Griffin always had a happy hunting ground at this venue. I think Lucas Glover's got that blue collar mentality, trying to get himself into winning the tournament that he won last year, going to the FedEx St. Jude Classic or the playoffs where he went on a massive tear. So I think Glover's got a lot to play for. Taylor Moore, $7,500 in this range. Denny McCarthy, $7,500. Anyone else catching your eye in the sevens, Geoff? It's a big, big range.
Yeah, big range. You mentioned a lot of players who just like blindly fit the prototype player here this week, from Cole to Denny Mac, Ben Griffin. But one that a short positional golf course, $7,400. I'll take Adam Svensson here this week. He seems to play his best golf on exactly these sorts of courses. Am I going to get the win? Probably not. It's bold because he's horrible he's a horrible putter, and you're going to need to make him this week. But these seem to be the type of tracks where he plays his best. So that would be one. And can't imagine what the Kuchar ownership at 7,300 is going to be if like the betting market popularity is any indication of how hard people are up for him. And I'll get out of here by going to the bottom, near the bottom of this list, and shout out Andrew Novak, another guy who he can make the putts. He's quietly having like a lovely DFS results based season, and I'm sure a guy like you profit on all sorts of markets out there, positional markets. So I think this is another spot where I don't think it should be any different than what he's done all year. And that's just just littered with like top 30 solid finishes across the board with, he's shown a top 10 ceiling, clearly.
I love it, Geoff. 7,100 for him. Victor Perez is also in this range right here. Like you mentioned, Matt Kuchar. That'll be fun there. And then to round out the bottoms, we've got CT Pan, who's starting to show some good form and some good health. I think typically his health has let him down quite significantly. If there's one guy I'll take a gamble on from France, it's CT. And then Brendan Todd at $7,000 flat. Seems like a great course fit here. Can, really just dink and dunk his way around this venue.
Go full,
which is what Brendan Todd does.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So I love it. I love all of these guys in the sevens. That's rattling off all these names. These are very affordable options with the most expensive option at 10-7. We can really build some solid lineups this week. So I think a lot of people will be playing their favorite plays. Got to avoid that ownership in the Wyndham Championship this week. Chan Kim leads out the $6,900 options with Thorbjorn Olesen in here. Where the hell is Michael Olesen? I hate the fact that they are both. Oh, there's Michael Thorbjornsen at $7,200. We have to also mention him too. But in the sixes, Geoff, Ben Silverman, I know you guys mentioned Bo Hassler on the show. He's also had one of the worst years prior to 2023. In 2024, he's had one of the biggest regressions outside of Ricky Fowler. I think he's on that top 5 list there with those guys. So who are you kind of eyeing out in the sixes?
Yeah, always crowded. But Rico Hoy, I feel like, is a guy that does a lot of things that I feel like I could trust around this place. I don't mind him. Oh, sorry, he's 7,000. No, that was my bad. I could use glasses. I'm sure people see me squinting right here as we're going through it. Ben Cole's 6,900. He's exactly just, that exact player profile that I'm expecting to shine this year. Geez, this is really tough one. Carson Young, 6,800.
Finally got a reason to mention Carson Young, huh?
Yeah, finally got my reason to do that. I'll be honest, like I don't know. Like I feel like I'll be building, like I could do such balanced builds for the most part this week, because I like so much of what's going on in that 7K range that could take up the majority of my build. I don't know. A few of these guys will certainly hang around this week. But
all right, I'll rattle off some names, then you can tell me if you like them or not. How does Bud Carley sound at $6,400? He's played quite nicely in the past. It's kind of his course. He's not a long hitter. He's the plotter type guy.
Yeah, he's the plotter type. I mean, this is what we're dealing with down here, right?
Rafael Campos, he's my boy. Came through pretty nicely at bare minimum last week. He finished in the middle of the pack. Ball striking beast. Just needs a bit of love on the short game side.
I'll tell you who I like down here, results based. I guess, I don't know. Zach Blair, what are they charging for him?
64. Yep, not bad at all.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of, maybe the only he's played better than you would have thought this year.
Zach Johnson, 65. He's $6,500. All you need him to do is make the cut. Like, he's been doing it quite nicely lately.
All we need is make the cut. It's that goddamn putting. I want to say Woodland, but I swear to God, I think he lost over 5 strokes, and that was off of like a 7-stroke negative putting performance. Open that up here. He lost 5 strokes at the 3M, and he finished 37th. He would be a guy potentially down here, but if I'm picking from down here, I really want you to be able to make your putts. It's so weird.
Smith,
Davis Riley, $6,600.
Oh, dude, he's in. How was he one of the few guys that beat Scotty Scheffler this year? That is just, to me, one of the most outlier performances ever, and what makes golf betting so difficult. He's $600 or whatever, and he dismantled Scotty Scheffler at Scotty Scheffler's Charles Schwab. I don't understand that. I will also toss out 1 or 2 more names here. I think Justin Lowe is always an interesting option in this price range. Kevin Yu, another ball striking beast, which I kind of am a big fan of as well. So we'll see what these guys can do. As always, you said there, if you're trying to get different, you probably want to jump into the 6K range. If you're trying to just play a balanced situation, there's tons of options in the 7s, like we've mentioned, and the pricing's pretty flat this week. So
yeah, anything else? I'd be worried about. The 7s are going to be quite popular. And there'll be some way too high ownership for guys in the 7,000s.
Yeah. Do not get caught up in that
on the normal week. Yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't. Okay, Mac, you just sort of see everywhere where people are going to gravitate so easily to, because there's just so many, fun, cheap options. Just be a little bit different. You'll come out big.
Awesome stuff. Producer Mike, did we forget anything else that we had to chat about on the show? I think we've done most of the boxes checked yet. YouTube comment. Yes, I can't remember who the heck it was, but it had a guy with VT in it. I think it has to be Kenny's cousin of some degree. I think his DK username as some sort of, did I send it to you guys? I can't remember, but either way, congrats to you for winning Scotty Scheffler. I think you were the one that chose Scotty Scheffler. So Kenny will send your contest out to you guys. Don't forget to find that in your notification options there on DraftKings and get involved there. Use this week to kind of get yourself into next week, because the winner of the 3-man that you get into will, get into the Tournament of Champions that we're keeping track of there. So comment in the comments below who is going to win this week at the Wyndham Championship. Leave your DK handle as well so that we can grab your name after the week ends and get you into that 3-man for the following week. So for the full swing, we'll still be doing that stuff. We love your guys' comments in there. Please tell us what you think Kenny did over the weekend for not to be here on the show. We got to give him a tough time. And I think the story time is going to be quite epic next week. It, in fact, took an absence for him to generate that kind of a story time. So we really appreciate you all for tuning in. Geoff, what's cooking for the rest of the week for you?
Oh, just my content out there with Pat Mayo. We did a show this week. I'll have a video up for Odds Checker on Tuesday, joining you, and then we're off into FedEx Cup season and football. Really just ready for golf, ready for FedEx Cup. Ready for FedEx Cup to be over is how I want to finish that sentence, but we're here. I like how the broadcast does it this week on Tracking Guys. So other than that,
yes.
Yeah.
It's something that they should really consider doing more of because it is fun to kind of watch these guys, but this is the week to do it.
But I would argue this is the only week where we actually give a shit about like the guy in 72nd place in the FedEx Cup. Like if they did that a month ago, be like, what? Like stop that right now. But this week it's good and it's charming. At the moment, I feel like it only works in this specific week. And they do a good job of it, though. I'll give them that. It's what the cut sweat should be and how they treat that every week. If that makes any sense.
Absolutely. They need to just transition that mojo into a weekly thing that we actually do give a shit about. And I think we'll see a better golf product altogether. You know, just thinking off the top of my head, you remember like Arsene Smotherman from that one time he had to like finish 1 over par or 1 under par for the final 2 holes after a delay. And he kind of let everyone in after completely sucking it up and missing the cut himself. You know, it was like quite an interesting situation. So you guys can follow me at The Model Maniac on X. I'll be doing all my stuff, my show tomorrow night at 7 Eastern for all the live questions and stuff that you're going to have on Mayo Media Network, Back 9 Bets over there. I'll have all my placement bets for you guys as well, and kind of just cruising through the model as we do that, as we like to do on Back 9 Bets. So awesome stuff, Geoff. Thank you for jumping on with me. And thank you, producer Mike, for all the stuff you do behind the scenes there for us. We'll catch you guys next week for the FedEx Cup playoffs.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort. Stacking penny stocks while I'm flipping these birds. Sipping on Ciroc, trip 'em up with the words.